Duran Premium Cigars, one of the fastest growing boutique cigar companies, providing smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the same quality, construction, and detail which he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran Premium Cigar Series, Azan Cigars, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran Cigars uses a seed-to-humidor approach, as all tobacco is grown on their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard. Experience the world through the eyes of an icon with the new Macanudo Inspirado line. Created for a global palate, Macanudo Inspirado defies convention. Handcrafted with the world's finest tobaccos, Inspirado delivers a unique international smoking experience. Find Inspirado Orange at fine tobaccos everywhere, and Inspirado Black online and in your favorite catalogs. Ready to be inspired? Check out Macanudo Inspirado now at macanudo.com. CAO has brought you iconic cigars over the years. Brasilia, Italia, La Traviata, done in a playful nature with a unique twist. Travel to the exciting world of CAO and back in just under an hour with any of the groundbreaking CAO World Blends. Test the boundaries of style with new age brands in the 95 rated Flathead. Honor the past with new classics like Pilon. Treat your palate to an array of flavors with Soulfire and Moon Trance. At CAO, the experiences are limitless. So what's your next move?
Hey, Paul, what's up?
What's up, Mark?
Did you hear about the new cigar that's coming out?
Which one is that? There's like 800 new ones every week.
The one with the Connecticut broadleaf wrapper.
Oh, really? I love Connecticut broadleaf. Who makes it?
I think it's Nicaraguan.
So Nicaraguan binder and filler, or it's made in a factory in Nicaragua?
I always have to Google these, and it's taking me like an hour to find out what it is.
If this is a frequent conversation with your cigar buddies, look no further than Stogie Geeks News, the only cigar news podcast on the internet. Will Cooper, the man behind Cigar-Coop.com, and Paul Asadorian from the Stogie Geeks produce a weekly show covering the latest cigar news, new blends, cigar manufacturer announcements, and more. Subscribe to the video version on YouTube or get the audio version in your favorite podcast catcher. Head on over to stogienews.tv to subscribe today.
Every new blend borrows from the past, and the Saga Blend No. 7, it is the perfect combination of timeless knowledge of traditional tobaccos and the newer balance that today's cigar enthusiasts come to expect and love in a fine cigar. Leveraging 6 generations of experience and tradition of the Reyes family, the Saga Blend No. 7 delivers a unique, full-flavored, medium-bodied cigar. The cigar is highlighted by a Brazilian wrapper over a blend of Central American and Dominican tobacco. Available in 3 sizes at an affordable price, the Saga Blend No. 7 is sure to please and bring together past and present. Brought to you by Rocky Patel Premium Cigars. The Tabaquero by Hamlet Paredes, developed and blended by Cuban master of tobacco, Hamlet Paredes. This cigar is an exciting addition to the Patel family, featuring traditional and rare sizes hand-picked by Hamlet himself. Smoke Tabaquero by Hamlet Paredes today. For more information, visit them on the web at rockypatel.com and be sure to follow Rocky Patel Premium Cigars on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Oh, hey, we're back. Sorry, I was just chatting and stuff. Hey, this is our Stogies of the Week segment, and I want to start off with one that I didn't even add, Will, but that we've been talking about during the break, and I think we should mention.
Yep.
And then we'll post a review of it, or at least put it up in our Stogies feed. And that's the CEO Consigliere. When you sent me these samples, which came pre-predicate date,
yep,
I looked at the band, and I was like, oh, that's just like the word we can't say, CAO, Tony, you know what.
Well, I guess, yeah.
Can I say that? I can say that, right?
Well, we could say what it looks like, can't we?
It's
They are CAO is a sponsor, though.
They are, yes. Well, everyone knows what we're talking about anyway, Will.
Yeah.
There was a popular TV show about the mafia, which alleged mafia, which CEO had a line of cigars, which we've talked about on the show in the past. However, and no one, it's interesting, no one faults him for this. I mean, this is one of my favorite cigars to smoke, Will. No one faults him for this. I mean, they obviously had to pay rights to a certain broadcast company in order to market a cigar as this. But, and you know more about this than I do, they likely had access to the same tobacco.
Kind of.
And if this were me, I'd do the same thing. I'm like, that show is no longer making new episodes, so I'm not going to pay a company to license the rights to something that is not actively being marketed towards the general public, but I can maintain the CAO band in the red and black like it has on here, and they call this one the Consigliere, which is, I have it in the Robusto size. Is there a full, like, stable of sizes?
Yeah, you're smoking actually what's called and they actually went back to the old names. You're smoking the Associate.
The Associate, yeah.
A 5x52. There is a 6x54 called the Soldier. And then there's that big 7x56 torpedo called the Boss.
And this is in the Consigliere line of cigars from CAO today.
Yeah, now they did not bring back the limited Tony signatures one.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe they will, I don't know. But I don't think they will based on what I'll tell you about this cigar.
But yeah, but you said something interesting. Before I give my review of this cigar, I want you to tell your story, Will.
So I was at IPCPR. I talked to a gentleman, I think a lot of folks know him, Rick Rodriguez, who I think in general, he's one of the bright minds in general. He's done he's been the guy who took over CAO since they acquired it. And I think he's been getting better and better in terms of what's been coming out. They basically wanted to bring back this cigar. And the issue was, well, obviously there was licensing issues over the television series. But they did decide to bring it back. Now, the story is when this cigar was originally released, it was released, I think, I want to say 2006 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
It was maybe a little earlier, but it was released with a Brazilian Matafina wrapper. CAO had trouble. Brazilian tobacco, they tend to go into shortages, but CAO had trouble getting that wrapper. They changed it to a Connecticut broadleaf. I remember the change.
Well, probably because they were paying those licensing fees and they didn't want to be a shortage. I can't blame them. I don't blame them for any of that.
And at the time, the cigar was I want to say it was a $12 cigar, and it was gimmicky at the time, but the cigar was really a good cigar.
No, it held up. I mean, you can go back in Stogie Geeks history and hear myself and others talk about this cigar in very high regards as not being a gimmick cigar.
No, now the Matafina was better. The Connecticut Broadleaf was very, very good, but that Matafina was better.
Mm-hmm.
When they had the opportunity now under General to bring this back, they went with the Matafina because obviously I think they can get the tobacco, and I believe also it's because it's predicate. That they didn't say. That's me guessing that. So they brought this back, and the only difference that you'll see is it's the original blend. You won't see the footer band, but it has that unique signature.
That red and black CAO,
yeah. And I'll tell you what, I was impressed with this cigar a bit. So I'll let you kind of talk through your experience with it.
So I've always been a big fan of the television series named Cigar, the original one that was released, and I probably smoked it in both different wrappers. And I used to buy sample packs, like a line sampler, which came with that signature series that we've talked about. You can go back and Stogie Geeks history and hear us talk about that. I'm being nice to General. They're a sponsor. Obviously, there's a trademark, copyright kind of issue, which I'm very sensitive to. So I know it kind of seems silly not to say the name, but I feel for them in this situation, partly because I really love both the TV series and the cigar, right? And I smoked a lot of them. And recently, actually, I talked to our good friend Danny next door at the Havana Cigar Club, who's a member there, loved this cigar. And I was actually gifting him some vintage ones. And he was very thankful that I was doing that. So when General sent us pre-predicate samples, which included this Consigliere cigar.
Right.
And I was like, well, that looks like the blend that I'd always known and loved. That was very familiar with this Italian family from New Jersey, and my last name doesn't necessarily indicate
Mine doesn't
that,
either, but
right?
I'm in
But
the
I was
same boat.
very
Yep.
much Italian. Love the show, but also love the cigar for what it was. Never mind what they called it. I would have loved the cigar regardless of what they called it. So I lit up this new Consigliere blend in the Associate. That's the Robusto is the Associate, right?
Yep. The associate. Yep. By the way, one more thing. Let me just make one other point before because they were able to kind of shed the licensing agreements. They got the cigars down $4 for each of these sizes. So you are getting actually the original blend in this, and it is very close to the original blend. I'll say it really is $6.99.
And I tell you what, Will, I lit this up and then smoked some of it and then drove home. And I wish I had not been like in the car, because I really wanted to focus on this cigar. I'm like, this cigar is friggin' amazing. And I just lit another one up now, and I'm like, this cigar is the balls. It is so good. It is so much in that full flavored category. To be lighting up my second one, I can't wait to buy my box. Like, it is just awesome. It is awesome. I would say if the cigars keep smoking like this, Will, this is going to be a Fight Chuck Norris cigar. Like, seriously, this is the best cigar I think in the general portfolio that I've smoked in a really long time.
It's a very good. I mean,
Yeah.
and
like, it really stands out. Like, those of you that have smoked, cigars from General, like, I think you'll smoke this one and really be like, wow, like, this one really just stands out in their portfolio as an amazing cigar. And obviously they're a sponsor. I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. Like, I've always loved this blend, and this Brazilian wrapper just works in this blend. It is just all about flavor. It's a medium to medium full blend, but it's just all about flavor. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'll say this, and again, they are a sponsor. I think they had a really good show in terms of blends in general this year. I think this was one of the stronger years that I've seen in general, maybe in about 6 years. I think 2010 was a big year for them in my book. But
this cigar, though, really, really, really stands out for me, Will.
Yeah, and you know what? CAO, they just focused around this at the show. They didn't come out with a ton of things in CAO. They just went back with this cigar, and that was the focus. And
I tell you what, though, I mean, a lot of our listeners, those in the chat in particular, are smoking very boutique blends, maybe some limited blends. You got to find this cigar and you got to smoke it. And I'm telling you what, it's going to live up to your expectations. Like, I would seriously stake my reputation behind this cigar. That's how much I've liked smoking it, Will. Like, it just speaks volumes as to how good this cigar is. I'm just really high on this cigar. I think it's box worthy right now. I think it's going to creep into the Chuck Norris rating for me. Like, it's somewhere between box worthy and Chuck Norris for me right now.
I really want to try the other sizes in this line.
I've always been partial in this particular, and I don't know how much the blend. It sounds to me like the blend hasn't changed other than that wrapper thing that went on. I've always been partial to the Robusto.
The Robusto was always, I think, the best, but I did like that boss size.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about being in the car with that big cigar.
Mm-hmm.
I drive an SUV, and it's something pretty cool about driving an SUV with that cigar.
You smoke that cigar, and the theme song to the show just plays in your head. I get it. No, I get it.
Yeah. Is that the great? Is that the greatest show in television history? I think it is.
I don't know. I break it down into genres. I think in the drama genre, for me, it is definitely the best show. Drama. It's top. It's at least top 3. I think I'm partial to it because of the references to the Italian culture that I relate to. I think Breaking Bad certainly is in that top 3.
Yeah.
For me as well. I struggle to find out what the other top 3 one is in the genre of drama. But you got to break those up into genres, right? Because you got to go. Science fiction is a completely different story for me. Like, I can't compare The Sopranos to some of the science fiction shows like Star Trek that have been out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Battlestar Galactica. Like, there's some really good shows.
The original Battlestar Galactica was unbelievable.
And even the new one, like,
Yeah.
And that's a different one. And then comedy is just a completely different genre, right? Like we talk about Seinfeld and we talk about some of the other shows in the comedy. I think that's a different genre. For me, in the drama category, Sopranos is definitely one of the ones that hits it for me, Will.
Absolutely. Well, we just slip.
Oh, slip. There we go. They said it once. Well, I was representing, but in all fairness, we were talking about TV shows, not cigars in that light.
So it was TV show. Yep.
That's right. Reference the TV show.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, what do you got on your list?
I'll just make one comment. What I'm smoking real quick is I'm actually smoking the Golden Age by Saga in the Robusto. This one's been sitting in my humidor. It's got to be over a year. Fantastic right now. This is a cigar that ages very well. So I had to make that comment. They are a sponsor, but very good cigar.
I'm wearing the shirt tonight too.
Yes, you are. Yes, that's what kind of inspired me to go grab it.
Nice.
Or grabby it.
That was good, Will. I like that.
Yeah. So I went and this is a cigar. I have smoked this before. I think I have talked about it once on the show. It's by CLE Cigars, and it's the Aroa 20 years, first 20 years cigar. And I smoked this in the 60 by, they call it the 60 by 6 instead of the 6 by 60. I had not spoken. Now, in my opinion, the Aroa first 20 years blend is even better than that original Aroa. It is that good a cigar. One of the best Honduran Puros I've had. I had not smoked this in the big ring gauge. I was not disappointed with this in the big ring gauge. It was fantastic. I think the best way when you smoke that Aroa, I think the big comment we all had is it didn't smoke like a Honduran Puro. And that's what you'll get with this 20-year cigar. It's not going to smoke anything like a Honduran Puro. It's a rich cigar. It's not going to dry the palate like we talked about. There's some notes of coffee. There's an interesting little like lemon rind note in this thing too. It has that spice like we just talked about with the keg, where it's again the spice is present there. It's a medium to full in strength, full flavored, full bodied cigar. A great 60 ring gauge cigar. It should not be overlooked in this line, and I'm going to give it a box worthy. That it's that good.
Nice.
You have to. I don't think you've smoked this one. If you smoked the 20 years yet, I should get you a few of these. Christian is coming to Charlotte, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that event. But I'm really curious to see what you think of this blend because I know you like that original Aroa.
Yes, I do very much so.
Yep.
I like Christian for me holds a kind of a near and dear place in my heart because of all his work with Camacho. And we have some vintage Camacho that we're going to be smoking on some Stogie Geek shorts, which I'm very excited about as well.
Yeah, we got to thank our friend Joseph Schmo, a.k.a. Joe Schmo.
Thanks, Joe Schmo.
Yeah, actually his name's Louis. He's a great guy in Charlotte who has been not only listening to the show, but actually supporting the show in his store. So he gave us those cigars.
Nice.
Yep.
Will, I smoked a Gurkha Evil Churchill.
Now, you were talking to me about this cigar over the last week.
And now, Will and I just want to set the stage for this one. Gurkha is a brand that has a lot of different offerings. I think they've heavily marketed to online retailers. I think several years ago, it might have been around the time we started the show, Will, they started to make a push back into brick and mortar and had some brick and mortar only releases, which were good, don't get me wrong. And I think a lot of the people that I talk to that are Stogie Geeks kind of have this perception of Gurkha like, oh, well, they just make the online ones, which I'm not too fond of. And again, it goes back to the Stogie Geeks mantra, like, dude, you got to smoke every cigar, and you got to give it a fair chance, and you got to smoke different sizes of different vintages or different blends in order to make a determination as to what you like and what you don't like. And you can't take just one manufacturer and say either this manufacturer walks on water or this manufacturer really sucks. Like, that's just not fair to any manufacturer to do in either end of the spectrum. So the guys actually went to this, local smoke shop. It's actually called Wonderland Smoke Shop, and I have to go in there because I'm going to buy the rest of this cigar to give you kind of a preview into what I thought of this cigar. And it was a Gurkha Evil Churchill.
I haven't smoked this size of it, yeah.
And Churchill, as we've said, like, can kind of be hit or miss as the size goes. And I lit the cigar up, and I'm like, wow, this is really good. And I was smoking it, and I'm like, wow, I'm like, this is really good. Like, hold on, I gotta like back up and like focus on this cigar for a minute. And I'm like, this cigar has tons of flavor. And I mean, it didn't change up a whole lot throughout the smoke wheel, but it had that like little bit of earthiness with this little bit of sweetness with a tiny bit of woody notes. And it just was all coming together. And I'm looking at the cellophane, and I'm like, this cigar's got to be 2 or 3 years old at least. And I'm like, this is an outstanding cigar. Like, this is a box-worthy cigar. And this is a blend from Gurkha that's been out for since when? At least 2011, if not earlier, right?
It was around, I want to say 2011 is when that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul, probably you didn't realize this. So this is, Paul did not notice, but Gurkha's our guest next week.
Oh, nice.
They're making their debut. And let me tell you, I was at the trade show, and they have a big push around pairings this year, too. They really, Gurkha has been a polarizing brand. I'll just kind of say that. But I have found some really good blends in there. And I think in the last few years, some of the people they brought on board right now get it. So it's more, they get, hey, look, packaging, they've always been stellar at that.
Yeah.
This Evil isn't very fancy packaging.
No, it's kind of like a, it's really just like a tan, brown, and black
Parchment.
band.
Yeah.
Like a parchment paper kind of band.
Yeah.
With the traditional like Gurkha guy on it. However, a lot of websites will list this as a Brazilian wrapper. It's actually a Brazilian Matafina wrapper with a Dominican binder and Nicaraguan filler.
Yep.
It's classified as medium to full, which this was more on the medium side for me due to the age. It's listed as a 7x53, though I want to say I've seen it as 7x52. It's interesting. Tim Magarini did a review of the Robusto, which I had acquired, I want to say a box of them a while back, and it wasn't really high. It was like a $5 cigar for me as a Robusto. In the Churchill size, the MSRP is around $7 or $8. You can find these online for around $6 if you buy a box. This is a box purchase for me all day long. Like if I were to smoke the cigar aged as it was as I smoked it, it's box worthy. And like I said, the cellophane was yellow. So this cigar, and I could tell by the way it smoked, Will, it was very, very smooth. It had all those like in aged cigar characteristics to it.
Right.
And I really enjoyed it. So it just goes to show, it tells us how much size determines what you like to smoke and how much age can determine how good of a smoke it is. And I don't know the true age on this cigar, but
yeah,
I'm going to go try and get more of these at this local smoke shop.
Yeah, I haven't smoked the Churchill. I've smoked some of the other sides. I had it probably about a $5 in most of the cases.
Yeah,
so.
like for me, this was always a $5 cigar.
Yeah,
and I went back and I smoked multiple Robustos. I gave Tim some Robustos to smoke like way back in the day. And this cigar's really come into its own.
Yep. No, that's good. So I'm excited to we're going to have Eddie Guerra on next week, he's their new guy who's kind of working right now on a lot of the brand development. He's doing a great job on it, too. He's very, very knowledgeable of this brand, too, in the short time he's been there.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Back to you, Will.
So episode 189, Paul, was the day that Luke was born. That was the day you were basically literally had to leave right before the show, right?
June 7th. It would be June 7th, yes.
Right about, actually, it was June 6th.
June 6th, and he was born June 7th, yes.
7th, right. So you didn't get a chance to talk to this gentleman by the name of Riste Rasetsky. I think I got his name right. Riste's from a company called Jazz Kral. Jazz Kral is an ultimate boutique brand. Riste was a guy, basically. He was one of these guys, a social media guy. He was in a lot of these groups, and he just really wanted to see if he can blend a cigar. So he went to Noel Rojas's Guayacán factory, and he came up with this blend, and he started selling this blend online. And it was kind of a way similar to how Skip Martin started, starting to selling this brand online to see what he could do. The cigar started to get a little buzz. It actually got Steve Saka's attention. And Steve Saka smoked this cigar and was very high on it, right? At the same time, Guayacán actually sent me a couple of these cigars. I smoked this in a Toro, the Jazz Kral, and I loved it so much that I wanted to get Riste on the show. And really, really good cigar. He since then has come out with a Lancero in this that he came out with at the show. It's a 7x38. It's a classic Lancero. Now the blend is an Ecuadorian Habano Claro wrapper, so it's kind of looks more like a Colorado wrapper to me, but it's that's what they're calling it. It's got a double binder of San Andreas and Jalapa with an undisclosed filler. Now I got to admit, whenever I hear they take a blend down to a Lancero, I've talked about this. I know we've talked about this a lot. A lot of times when they have to get to that 38 ring gauge, something has to give. So I was very skeptical about smoking this Lancero. I'll be totally honest about it. That being said, I don't know whatever they did, whatever Riste and Knoll did working on the cigar. This was even better than that Toro I smoked. Tons of flavor on this cigar. It's got this. Seth Guys calls this flavor stone fruit flavor. It's got that flavor. It's got some woody components. It's got a nutty component. A lot of complexity for a Lancero. Changes up quite a bit. It's a cigar I'd put as a classic medium strength, medium to full-bodied cigar. And what I liked about this is the flavors had a little more depth than that Toro. It had a little more complexity, and everything just clicked together better. Cigar's about $9.50. It's a box-worthy cigar. A lot of people have been impressed by this blend. I have some of these for you. I'll get you a couple of these as well. If you have, I don't know if the Toros are still lying around. They may still be up there as well. But this is a blend folks need to. Riste's getting a lot of buzz right now on social media with this cigar. And again, that's the way Skip Martin started out. So you never know where this could go. Yeah.
Well, I want to say that just for you tonight, I wore my Uggs because you mentioned that like on a Facebook post or something, and the weather's been a little cooler here in Rhode Island, so I broke out my Uggs just for you.
Well, I'm okay with that because you did not wear a Hillary Clinton pantsuit.
No, that I
don't know
not.
how. There was some comment. It may have been, and I'm not Kruk. I'm sorry if it wasn't you. I thought it was something that. Oh no, it wasn't Kruk. It was Pete Sharing Smoke.
There you go.
Pete Sharing Smoke wrote something. Yeah, it was. Sorry, Kruk.
I wore my Uggs just for you and in support of my Patriots and Tom Brady, and then all the way down to our third string quarterback. And
I won a huge bet, by the way.
The fact that we're 3-0.
There's this guy we call him. There's this guy at the cigar shop. We call him Schleprock, and Schleprock was the bad luck character from the Flintstones, right? So this guy, whenever he says something, the opposite will happen. So he basically said that when Brady got suspended, you guys wouldn't win more than one of the first 4 games. So I took the bet.
Well, obviously, he didn't know that Bill Belichick was the coach of the Patriots.
No. And so the bet was if it
throwing
was
that out there.
Yeah, no. If it was 1 win, he won. 2 wins, it was a push. 3 wins, I won. So I won. And I'll just add, Bill Belichick came from the New York Giants. So just a little.
Well, yeah, and the Browns. But anyway,
he did well with the Browns until they moved to Baltimore. Yeah.
And I feel bad for Browns fans now that just. It's like the Cubs, man. Like I want to see them just win. You know what I mean? Like just 1 year, I want to see them like really shine and just win. Poor Browns fans.
I feel for them.
I tell you what, this for a Patriots fan, this has been a very stressful season for me to talk football for a moment. And to relate that to cigars, like I'm sucking down cigars during Patriots games, dude. Like it is a very stressful experience, and I have to have a lot of cigars for Patriots games, especially after Garoppolo got hurt. I was like, oh man! And then
he's gonna be good. He's gonna be a good quarterback somewhere.
And somehow we're making it happen, and I'm freaked out. But it's all.
By the way,
good.
One last comment on it. If anyone is friends with Paul Joyle on Facebook, his Patriots comments are epic.
Epic.
Epic. Yeah. He just tells it like it is. Yeah.
There's one that's like Belichick yelling like, "Hey, what the commissioner like, hey, did you think you could screw us up? Like we're 3-0, ha ha ha, like all that kind of stuff." Yeah.
Yeah, they got to take your players away. It's the only way you guys aren't going to win.
That's right. That's right. So I went back in Stogie Geeks history, Will. And I smoked a Partagas Benji Menendez Master Series LX 2011.
I think it was the LX. Was it the Toro, like the 54?
It's the Toro, yeah.
Okay, yep.
What's so interesting about this, Will, is when the original Partagas Benji Menendez Master Series came out in 2009. Yes, 2009.
I
It was
remember
a
that.
6x46 release. When it first came out, dude, it was like Oasis.
That was one of the best. That was a top 10 cigar that year.
Yeah, and it was Oasis, right? And I'm like, Benjamin Menendez is awesome. I'm like, I didn't know who he was before the cigar was released, and I started researching it. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, that cigar is awesome. I would go to Joyle's and I would smoke like tons of them, and we would all buy them up, and we all kind of bought our equal share, and then they were gone. And then we saved some of them, right? Mark Jr. and I later on, a couple of years later, smoked more of those ones from 2009 with that 6x46 release.
Yep.
And we're basically like, it's like a try one to a fiver. Like, it lost so much steam in that 6x46.
Yep.
And it was to me, it was a try. I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm heartbroken. Like, that cigar was so good when it came out. So you really had to smoke these when it came out. 2011 comes along, and they come out with this 6x54 Toro. And again, it's a Cameroon wrapper, Habano, Connecticut binder, Dominican, Piloto Cabano, Nicaraguan, Esteli Ligero, and Ometepe. Awesome cigar. It was good when it came out, right? I mean, it was good. It wasn't as good as the original Benjamin Menendez in the 6x46, but it was good. I smoked it in August of 2015, Will. I rated it a 5.
I think I remember us talking about that. Yep.
Now I got a whole box of these, Will. So here it is, August, September 2016. I'm like, well, I got to smoke another one because I'm like, either it's going to be like so much better or it's going to be so much worse. I'm like, but I got to smoke them because I got, like, they came in boxes of 12. Yeah, box of 12 for $125, and I had bought a box because I like the original so much. And my rating on this one, Will, is fight Chuck Norris. Like,
and that's really interesting at that point.
And I'm like, maybe I'm starting to doubt myself. Like, was it my palate? Was it, I don't know what it was. Was it that extra year of age? Dude, I'm telling you right now, they're smoking Fight Chuck. Like, I smoked one in the studio, and I'm like, Mark, this cigar is freaking awesome. And, like, we're doing other stuff, and I'm like, Mark, I can't even focus right now. I'm like, this cigar is so freaking good right now. Like, I can't even focus. Like, the sweetness just came out in this cigar, Will. Like, unbelievable. So now I'm in, like, now I've rated this Fight Chuck Norris, right? Basically made an ass of myself because the ratings for this cigar in the smaller size and the Toro size have been all over the map. And I'm like, so do I just go smoke the rest of these? Right? Do I watch the next Patriots game and just, like, suck down, like, 5 of these cigars? I don't know what to do. But this is the Partagas Benji Menendez Master Series Collection from 2011 and 6x54 Toro. Right now, for me, they're smoking Fight Chuck Norris.
You know what's interesting about that blend is I have gotten some inconsistencies on it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Now they came out with a Robusto a couple years ago, and I didn't like the Robusto at all. I mean, it was like I said, compared to that 6x46, which I think was the one. I mean, the Robusto I thought was a 5. I mean, so you know, I don't know. It could have been one cigar you had. It could have been your palate. It could have really been that. That's how that cigar was tasting. Then it took an uptick. We you know, I think time's going to tell as you smoke more.
I tell you what though, in a Toro, there was a good amount of time where I was smoking this cigar, Will, and like every puff, I'm like, caught my attention. I'm like, this is really good. So it could be a blend inconsistency, which would be kind of surprising, but it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So I'm just gonna, my thing now, I'm just gonna go back and smoke them. There's nothing you can do at this point but go back and smoke them, right? I don't think they're gonna get any better than what they are now, judging by history with the way the original release in 2009 went. Like, I should just be smoking these, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do. You know what?
So
you only live once. Smoke them while you got them. If you have these in your humidor, now I'm telling you, now is the time to smoke them.
A couple weeks I talked about like that Room 101 Big Delicious, and I had a box of them, and it got. I think I let it go too long, and they're not. You know, so you don't want to risk that either. If they're at a point they're good and they got some age, I would suggest you don't want it to get past the apex, is what I would say.
In that Cameroon wrapper, I feel like can go past that apex really fast, Will. And I'm
It
not,
really-
and again, I'm not like a master tobacconist by any stretch of the imagination.
No, we're
but
not.
in my experience, like the Cameroon wrapper definitely has a window. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Although I don't know, I smoked some Fuente Don Carlos that were pretty fantastic.
By the way, a certain store in Rhode Island has gotten a big Fuente shipment in, including Oscuros.
I heard.
Yes, and new Casa Cubas.
I heard that already.
Yep.
Before you said that, Will.
Yeah, I got the call today too.
I'll be stopping by there tomorrow.
I
think most of what they got in, I already have. So,
yeah. But I did. But there is a new Casa Cuba out
in a Corona size.
Yeah, but it's a whole new. Yeah, but it's a whole new. They told me at the show it was a whole new blend, and it was one that Carlos Fuentes Sr. He literally, in his last days, or he couldn't get down to the factory. He actually called the factory and told them what to do with this cigar.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's called Divine Intervention or something like that.
I'm going to pick up some of those.
Yep.
Back to you, Will.
So this is a cigar. This was a new cigar by AJ Fernandez. It is called the Bella Arts. And this cigar, a lot of people were really high on this release by AJ Fernandez. It was, what I'll say is it probably, AJ Fernandez the last couple of years has had a run. I mean, he's been on a run right now in terms of the releases. You can't argue the level of success he's had, and he's done a lot more in the value price line. This Bella Arts is a little more of a premium cigar, and it's probably closer into that $10 range. It's featuring a wrapper it's a proprietary, a hybrid wrapper that's 50% U.S. Connecticut shade, 25% Corojo seed, and 25% Havana 2000 seed. And they kind of hybridized this and made a wrapper out of this. It's got a Nicaraguan binder and from a region called Quilali. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. And fillers from Nicaragua, Honduras, and Brazilian. This cigar had all the ingredients for me of being a wow cigar, right? And from what I was hearing the wow reports. So I started smoking a couple of the Robustos. And I'll be honest with you, it just didn't hit me. I'm like, I'm not getting what everyone's saying about. In fact, I felt I had even some combustion issues on one, which was unusual for an AJ Fernandez cigar. But most of them burned okay. I don't want to say that was the reason, but there was just something. Again, with this Robusto, it was barely hitting the 5 mark with me. I went and did what I normally tell everyone else to do: is before dismissing the line, smoke another size. So I smoked the short Churchill. That cigar just seemed to come together a lot better. I just felt the flavors were just better balanced. They were just richer, the flavors. It had a nice sweetness to it. It was what I would expect, where this kind of went up to a box split with this cigar. So in my weekly call with Stogie Santa, I brought this up. And I said, hey, how do you like Bella Arts? And he goes, I've had a few of the sizes. He goes, the only one that did it for me was the short Churchill. So, I mean, again, I don't know if we have the same mindset, but yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people this got some high ratings. I didn't see it. The short Churchill, though, was the one I would say give a shot to. It's a 6x48 on this one.
I smoked a La Gloria Cubana Series R Black Maduro, number 58 in the double Corona size.
Was it the black or the Esteli?
It was the black. Yeah, it's very confusing, Will. I'm glad you pointed that out.
That's the online one.
Yeah.
Okay.
These were pre-predicate date samples from General Cigar, and it is definitely the black because I noticed that very, very similar packaging and sizing.
It is the black. I'm looking at your pic.
Yeah, it is the black. So when I researched it, I could see there were very similar sizes. Or very similar lines, right, with the same kind of bands. And I'm assuming the black is a different wrapper, binder, filler, like a blend altogether.
They're similar components, but different blend altogether, yeah.
I gotcha. In the first, inch or so, I don't want to say first third, but in the first inch, I felt like this cigar didn't know where it was going. and I was really concerned. And then I kind of turned to Mark because I was smoking it when we were doing some stuff in the studio, and I'm like, I don't know where this cigar is going. And then he's like, hey, you're still smoking that cigar? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it kind of leveled out. Like, now it knows where it's going. I'm like, it's a pretty good cigar now. Like, I like smoking it. I finished smoking it. I thought it was a good cigar. So I want to say I rated this a 5-er, Will. Yeah, this gets a 5-er rating from me. I thought it was a good cigar. Don't let the first inch, especially, I mean, this is a double Corona, right? It's a pretty big cigar.
Yep.
Don't let the first inch define the whole cigar for you. Like, stick with it for a little bit and see where it's going, because it kind of fell into its own. Age is going to fix that. I think age is going to be very kind to the cigars. It's a medium full profile, but this is a good smoking cigar. It has good flavors, but for me, it was a 5-er.
You know, the other one, the Esteli, was like what you just said. It didn't seem like it wanted to know where it's going. Again, pre-predicate. I got this, and I spoke this much earlier than you, the Esteli, but it was one. I want to say I wasn't totally focused, so it's one I got to revisit. This was one of the last projects from Michael Giannini in general, too.
We talked about that on Stogie Geeks News, his departure.
Yeah, there's going to be an article on the Michael Giannini era on Cigar-Coop, too, because I think his departure is, it's a significant thing. I do believe he's surfacing somewhere, is what I'll just say.
Oh, I am imagine so.
Yeah, he's too. But the Serie R Esteli, the natural, actually was his highest rated. It got a top 25 rating from Aficionado, and general cigars don't often get in the top 25. If folks haven't seen that, so. So the Maduros, I had high hopes for. It may need a little time on it, in my opinion. We'll see.
Back to you, Will.
This is a cigar. We talked a lot about it last week with Mel, so I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail on it. But I actually went and smoked Mel's the Vintage Reserve Lancero 1973 in review mode. I had smoked this cigar at the show, and I kind of didn't give it its fair kudos because it was one of the better cigars I had at the trade show. We had Mel on the show. Paul and I both smoked it. We were positive on it. I went and actually smoked the Mel had given us, again, some pre-predicate samples. And so I did the reviews on these, and I really, really did not. I underestimated a lot of the complexity with this cigar. There is a lot going on with this cigar. What I loved about this cigar, too, now, we talked about it on the show, Mel. I did get the cedar flavor off of it. Again, it just may be my palate. It could be my mind playing tricks on me. Because
it does have that cedar sleeve, Will.
And it can, let me tell you, the mind is a funny thing when it comes to your palate. So that could be going on in my head as well. But it does have the cedar sleeve. And the other thing I'll say is that cigar, when it goes to the brush foot, and I've seen this with all Mel cigars, it burns cleanly onto the wrapper. You don't have this like mess that I get on some of these brush foot, shag foot cigars. I gave it this could be one of his best cigars he's come out with, in my opinion. I gave it a fight Chuck Norris on this cigar. It is that good. It's a great Lancero.
It really is.
It really is.
I smoked two of them, and I thought they were awesome.
I did, like I said, but
I love Mel.
He's a sponsor. I'll be honest, but
I'm eyeing a box. I think the price point is. I'm still gonna buy a box. But the price, they are pretty pricey. But I tell you what, for what you get, the smoking experience, smoking time, and the flavor and the experience is there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be totally candid with folks on Stogie Geeks here. The first cigar I had from Mel was one of his Connecticut classics, and I did not give it a great review. Mel still wanted to do business with us, is what I'll say too. So again, I know they're responsive, but again, in all fairness to Mel, he was very appreciative of the honest opinion on that. Now, I've loved it a lot. It turns out there's a lot in his portfolio that really hits me. So
absolutely,
it's a really good one. Yeah.
I smoked another one from General, Will, because they sent us a ton of samples pre-predicate date.
Yep.
Macanudo Estate Reserve, the Mao Limited Edition number 3, Connecticut Robusto.
So this is yep.
Go ahead, Will. This is a pretty epic Connecticut, right? Because this is a limited release from General.
Yeah. Now, what you may not remember about this cigar, we actually covered this a little on a Stogie Geeks Shorts IPCPR. This is one of the cigars that's using seed regeneration technique.
Yes.
Where basically they were taking seed, planting it in Connecticut, and then taking what they got out of Connecticut and then transplanting it in the Dominican Republic in the Mal region, getting something there, going back to Connecticut. And they went through 8 cycles of it. So this is the cigar we were talking about.
And I tell you what, I mean, as far as like flavor and sweetness goes, it's not completely off the charts, but it does have a really good amount of that flavor and sweetness. The thing that really gravitates me towards this cigar, Will, is the smoking experience. I mean, it has like the perfect amount of smoke production. And when you smoke this cigar, like the experience of smoking the cigar coupled with the flavor and sweetness that it delivers is just awesome in the morning with coffee. I mean, really awesome. I'm not sure what the price point is on this cigar, Will, but I would keep a bunch of these on hand, so much so that I would box split this one with a friend.
Now, what you didn't get with that cigar was the packaging. It was in cello, right?
It was in cello. Yeah, for me, the pre-predicate date samples that we got from General were all, the cigars were in cellophane. They were wrapped in plastic, and then they were like shrink wrapped on top of that with a piece of cedar inside of them, which is just to me, it's a brilliant way to package your cigars, by the way, because they all smoked great. I didn't have any, and me, Paul Syndrome Paul, did not have any construction problems or issues with any of the samples that we smoked so far, which is saying something, Will.
Yeah, so they come in coffins, is what I was going to say. So
interesting.
They are a little pricier, and they're for that size, I believe it's like $17. So they are priced, but that's because you're getting the coffin packaging. They come in really nice packaging now.
It's a good cigar. I don't know that I would pay, to be honest with you, and I know General's a sponsor, I don't know that I pay $17 for this cigar to smoke it every day in the morning with coffee, but it was a really good cigar. I did enjoy smoking it, and I would still stand behind my rating of a box split just based on the experience and flavor profile I got from the cigar.
And this is the one that came in that pre-predicate package, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, and that's the Mao. Yep. They have a few other ones.
Right.
They have some Jamaican blends that were from previous years, too.
Yep. This is the most recent one they sent me. I thought it was really good.
Yep. No, I thought it was a good cigar, too.
I mean, I got started smoking the Macanudo Portofino, right? Like, this Mao is totally in a different realm in terms of flavor profile for that.
Yeah, I think they did a good job at getting something different with whatever they were doing with the seed regeneration.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do think that to pay a $17 per coffin cigar price point for that, again, I know they're a sponsor and all, but like that seems a little high for me. Although I enjoyed smoking it a lot. So take that into consideration when you're making your purchasing decisions. I thought it was a really good cigar.
Yep.
Back to you, Will.
My final cigar is I got this also pre-August days, and it's a Candela. And it's called the Espinosa Wasabi. And this is a very, very unique Candela. First of all, the Wasabi, it's only going to Espinosa lounges. So there's a handful of them across the country. There's actually one now in South Carolina. But the Wasabi is unique because it is a box-pressed Candela.
Mm.
Now, Espinosa did a Candela before. They did it for Moya Ruiz with that pickle juice. And, Paul, I remember your comment about that cigar. You thought it was a good cigar, but it didn't have the Candela taste to it.
Yeah, I thought that the Candela, like that herbal kind of Candela flavor was very subdued. It was more about kind of the fillers. Are Nicaraguan in that cigar, Will?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more about the Nicaraguan fillers in that cigar for me than the Candela, which is fine. I think it's kind of like when you cook, Will, right?
Uh-huh.
And like if you want to make something like really spicy, you add more spicy components. and you add some of those more subtle sweet components. But if you want to make something that tastes really sweet, you add like a little bit of you know what I'm saying? Like you can go on either end of the spectrum, and that's okay. Like I thought the way that they blended that whole thing together was good. It just depends on what you like as your your palate and your own personal preference.
Yeah. Now I love that pickle juice, right? Now I was expecting, given that Hector Alfonso was the blender of pickle juice and wasabi, I was kind of expecting a box press version of the pickle juice, where, and you know, it even has that Oscuro cap on it, which was kind of meant to mitigate some of the candela stuff. So the wasabi has that cap as well. When I put this cigar up to when I was doing an aroma taste of it, kind of, that herbal flavor was there, which I didn't get on the pickle juice. There was an herbal flavor. This cigar, it's going to bring the candela experience. So this is much more of a classic candela. It's got a little more spice than a candela is normally going to have, though. So it's going to have more of a white pepper component to it. That it's not overpowering, that white component. It's definitely something that's there with it. But you definitely get to get that herbal sweetness, which I think you would. It's very unique. I could see where they threw the it doesn't. I don't want to say it tastes like wasabi. It doesn't, but I could see where they were going with the name with that. I thought the box press clicked with this. This one's even better than the pickle juice, because I didn't expect a candela tasting cigar to be that good. And I've smoked a few of these now, and I'm gonna have to probably buy these now because I don't have any more left. But this is a Chuck Norris candela.
Wow.
This one is at the top of the list right now. And there's some, I love the Skip ones. I've loved LaFleur's. I've loved Andre's. This one's a Chuck Norris one. It is that good. Well, I have to get these.
I have to say, Will, my CEO connoisseur, consigliere rather. Connoisseur is the one I want to talk about next. The CEO consigliere is just awesome. I mean, it just like is delivering in the flavor department, hands down. I love this cigar.
There's a book that was written called by Lou Gertzner, the CEO of IBM, who says elephants can't fly. I think that's sometimes applicable to cigar companies. Some of the big companies can do some really good blends. We sometimes forget about it.
This cigar is amazing.
Yep.
I did smoke the Crux du Connoisseur number 2. And this is one where we greatly differ, Will.
Yeah, this is. I'm gonna let you talk. Let me let you talk about this.
A lot of times we'll be like, yeah, I agree. Like we're kind of, at least if we're not the same rating on the cigar, Will, like we're pretty close. Like
right.
I'm fiver in your box split, or I'm box split in your box worthy. Like we're pretty close. Like this is one where you're more towards Oasis on this cigar.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the best regular production cigars I've had in a long time.
And I'm more towards fiver, and I only smoked one for this review. It just didn't wow me. Like, I thought it was a good... Don't get me wrong. I thought it was a good cigar. Like,
Fiver's a very good rating. A Fiver's a very good rating.
Go smoke this cigar. I mean, I'm not saying, like, don't go buy this. Go buy this cigar, smoke it, and let us know your opinion of it. But for me, it was more like a fiver. Like, I thought for me, the strength profile was pretty amped up, but the rest of the flavor and in smoking experience for me, like, didn't live up to expectations for me, and I rated a fiver. Not that it's a bad rating, like, I thought it was a good cigar, but I didn't rate it as high as you did, Will.
No BS, no BS here. This is, I honestly, and this cigar, when I had it the first time, it was September 2015. I probably had it somewhere, and I wrote this in my review. It's probably somewhere in the fiver to the box split area.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, I think I did give it a box split when I first had it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the batch you had was from the same batch that I had the Oasis from. So
interesting.
So, but I went back and smoked this cigar,
mm-hmm.
and it was, again, no BS. This was and I'm not a Lancero guy. This cigar to me was, and a lot of people had your opinion with this cigar too. I'm not gonna say that. I just thought they knocked it out of the park, and I haven't had a regular production release in a while. Where this is
Interesting.
one I'm putting this. Yeah. Now I've been smoking a lot more of these, and I think they've been that good.
Hmm.
But we can, I think it's healthy to disagree on a
Yeah,
cigar.
absolutely.
Um, but you don't know. Again, you smoked one of these. I would.
I
There's three
did.
sides to this.
That's a great point. I only smoked one, and I would smoke more. It's interesting, Will, when we disagree on a cigar, is the point? It's like an indicator that I need to go back and smoke more. And I think historically, when you and Stogie Santa have rated a cigar much higher than I have, I've been more inclined to go smoke more. I think almost 100% of the time, I've kind of stuck by my rating that this is what I think of the cigar. And I know you guys, you and Stogie Santa specifically, go back and smoke more, and you're like, nope, I stick by my rating. And
Yeah.
sometimes we just disagree, and I think
Now,
I think that's good. I mean, not it tells our listeners that not every time all of us are going to be on the same page when it comes to a cigar, and that's fine. But it sends a message that you should go try the cigar and develop your own rating because it could be very well something that's in your wheelhouse. So.
yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And hey, look, we differed on the. It was funny because we differed on the. I remember the
The
50th
Davidoff,
anniversary.
the year of the snake, we
Oh,
differed
the year
on.
of the snake. Year of the snake. I'm sorry. It was the year of the snake. We greatly. Now,
Yeah.
that one I don't know if you came back around on, but
No, I never
but
really did.
but it was you and Mark Jr. were on that one side of the fence, and me and Stogie Santa were on the other side of the fence with that one.
And I think that's important for our listeners to realize that, like we're just people and we give our opinions about cigars. And a lot of times we agree, but sometimes we don't. And that's just the nature of cigar smoking.
And I'm not picking on shows, but there are some shows out there where I hear everyone just always agree and always like the cigar, or everyone always hate the cigar. And but I think when you do have that healthy, there are shows that have the disagreement piece.
Right.
I think the half-ish guys are funny because they do. Craig and Kip will have differing opinions a lot of the time. It's pretty. I like when you get the two sides of that because then it kind of gets me really thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it should get you thinking about cigars. It should get you it should be your guide to what you want to try. And I don't know if it's interesting, like, do you want to try the cigars that we all agree upon, or are you more gravitating towards the cigars that we're like kind of divided on? You know,
Yeah.
I,
Sometimes it's good, if I give something an Oasis, I've seen people sometimes try to prove me wrong on it, and I think that's good. I think
Yeah.
that is good. I don't take that as an insult. And I see sometimes when people read a bad review, they'll go smoke it to try to again prove it wrong. Again, you're trying to give some the different side of the story.
I would stand by, and I don't want to sound like full of ourselves, but I would stand by our Oasis rating and say that when we agree upon a cigar and it has an Oasis rating, chances are you're going to really like that cigar.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you say that Mr. J Savannah Smoke Shop just got in some of the like limited Fuente releases. That Opus X Oscuro that comes in that yellow box with the gold bands on the foot, that Robusto, I was just thinking about this today, Will, because Big Pete was bringing it up. Like, I can give that cigar to the most seasoned cigar smoker. I can also give that cigar to someone who comes and visits me regularly, consults on business, and does whatever, hangs out with us and smokes a lot of cigars with us and is like, yeah, that was a good cigar. That's a good cigar. When I give them something like that, that's Oasis, Will, like I can see the look on their face and I can see their reaction. They're like, wow, that's a really good cigar. So take someone that like doesn't even pay attention to the manufacturer, brands, blends, or whatever, and you give them an Oasis cigar and they're like, wow, that's really good. Like that's an indication to me just how good that cigar is.
Yeah. I totally agree.
That's kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum of myself and Will, who are like in the industry smoking a lot of cigars and reviewing them. Like there are certain ones that we give to other people that like hands down we know that 99.9% of the time we can tell by their reaction that it's going to be a spectacular cigar. So
Yeah, it's and like I said, usually, I mean, I think the only other one that comes to mind that we've differed that much on has probably been the Year of the Snake.
yeah,
We've disagreed on some Oases. I know we had some disagreements on the Padron 50th anniversary, but we weren't that far off.
no.
You like the natural, I like the Maduro, but yeah, I mean, so it is going to happen sometimes.
Well, good. That concludes this episode of the Stogie Geek Show. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see everyone next week on